says go, 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 go. It's spinning. And there we go. We look like we're live.
Hello, good morning, Charles.
Good morning, good afternoon.
I know all my, it's probably afternoon or evening. A lot of people watch in England too. So a good day is all I say. It's lovely to see you after all these years.
Same
and, have you got a picture in the attic because you don't look any older? Are you doing a Dorian Gray on us?
You know, special effects. I've learned how to do the lighting and do
smoke and mirrors, huh? Good.
We're blessed, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, it was great. I'm glad you got in touch. My last recollection of seeing you was when Cynthia Lennon and I were doing a panel at one of your fests, and you brought May Pang on stage to join us, and that was the first time I met May, and of course our friendship has continued ever since.
Oh, that's beautiful. That was in the mid-90s, and it was yourself, it was Cynthia, and we originally were going to have Louise Harrison, and my whole campaign was going to be Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison at one convention.
Oh.
Yes.
But she canceled out, so you were the main guest, and then Cynthia was the main guest, and May surprised us and came, and Joey Molland from Badfinger was there.
Oh, love Joey.
We have to wish him a happy birthday yesterday.
That's right. I think you did, didn't you?
Great guy. And Cousin Brucey was also there that weekend.
Oh, that's right. Cousin Brucey. Gosh.
So Stamford, Connecticut had a real treat with a lot of special people.
And, you know, I wasn't invited. What the hell?
But we were at conventions together though, Ruth, because there's pictures of, and I can't remember where those were. Was it Ohio? Where would you remember?
Would it have been Kansas City, Missouri, maybe?
Yes. I was only there once, but I bet it was that. Yes,
I think it was. And then we all went to Dick Clark's Great American Diner for the after party. It was fun.
We definitely did. I do remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, one of the reasons we've got back together, and I want to talk to you about, speaking of May Pang, we've just released with our partners Oasis Digital Studios, we've just released some very rare pictures of John as NFTs. And so I'll talk to you offline a little bit about that. And maybe you can help us with our street team and earn some money in the process.
I'd love to.
Absolutely.
I love May. I love you guys. Anyway, we can be part of that.
Thank you.
Well, you know what's amazing at doing these things and Ange writing her books and running the tea company is it really is a Beatle family. Yeah. You know, it's become over the years. It's just become all for one and one for four, right?
That's right.
So,
well, you're official family, and we're all extended family.
Yeah, I know, but I think if you have a true love for the Beatles and you've been in the trenches with, you know, the shows and the fans and all of that stuff, it's just truly is come together. It really is. Yeah,
I've been doing, forever. The conventions go back to the 70s. My tours to Liverpool back to the 80s. I published the magazine Good Day Sunshine for
Good Day
20
Sunshine.
years. And, we're still doing festivals and still having fun.
That's great.
So tell us about the next one that's coming up in a few short weeks here.
July 10th, it's the Fab Four Music Festival. It's in Connecticut, which is my home, so we love having it, where my friends and family can all be part of it. But people come from all over because there's no other show like it in the East Coast. Whereas we used to do the conventions and it was, all these guests, like we said earlier, and one major band like 1964 or Beatlemania. Isn't it always about the music, really, when all is said and done? So we, a handful of vendors, great, friends of mine who come and set up, one or two special guests, but now it's 10 bands. And it's bands that are playing every aspect of Beatles and solo and 60s.
Great.
And what we do is fun is we see their set lists and we make sure that nobody repeats a song from beginning to end. 10 different bands have to play only different songs.
Oh, my goodness. What a range of music they must get to hear then. It's terrific.
And it's only like $20 a ticket if you buy it in advance, right?
Yeah, $20 a ticket. When it was when we did this in 2014, it was 1964 because it was the 50th. We would always do the 50th anniversary, but I didn't want to charge $20.01. So it's 1999. But, you know, the bands that come, you know, some of them repeat from year to year. And some of them are what they call the boots and suits bands, where they wear the wigs, the jackets, the boots. And, you know, they may look 90 years old, but they look great once they put on the wigs. We have a few of those, the Hofners and Britain's Best, New Jersey. But a lot of the bands are more like the Fab Four, where they sound great, but don't even try to dress the part, you know, the black ties, number 9. I don't want to leave any out, but all of them are so great. And they're all, you know, I've been in the business so long, they're all friends of mine. You know, we talk through the year. If there's if Ringo comes and tours, we go to shows together. We you know, the Facebooking and all that. And when you mention family, it's like that with the entertainment. And it's like that with the fans that come, you know, hey, Charles, so glad you're doing another show. They missed it last year. They missed They missed the tours. And you know, we took a chance in January and said, you know, we're going to go forward with this and hope that come July, things are open. And they are. Originally, the reason we did it in a very big outdoor space was so people could social distance and they could put out their lawn chairs and their blankets and sit wide apart and just stay with their families if they needed to. Now maybe they can sit a little closer and hug and kiss again.
Hopefully if they've been able to get a vaccination, which is what we want everyone to do by the 4th of July, do we not?
We hope everyone does that. And if not, they should be considered and honest enough to wear a mask and stay social.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, there are some people for health and religious reasons just can't. I have a girlfriend who's battling 8 different kinds of cancer at the moment, and they're Cedar Sinai are like, damned if we do, damned if we don't. You know, they don't know what the vaccine might do to somebody who's under severe chemo. So there's all kinds of reasons. I've just learned in this whole thing with both masks, vaccinations, and politics, there are certain people that you kind of get the feeling that you just can't have the conversation with, and you can't judge. You don't know what motivates people. You don't know. You can't live in their skin. So just to coin a phrase, let it be, right?
Well said. Yes. All you need is love. You know, we've been doing the past few of these festivals is we throw in one band that's not Beatles. You know,
interesting.
Some of the bands do like all McCartney. Some bands do all Cavern Club. So they all have their niche. But we've got one band called Zilch who are doing all Monkees.
Great! Because
I love the Monkees.
Did you work in a Monkees outfit once?
Well, I produced monkey conventions.
Oh, was that it? Yeah.
So we always try to get someone to dress up as a chimp and jump around like a nut. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the Monkees. They were great fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was a big Davy Jones fan. I had Davy Jones and David Cassidy posters on my wall when I was a kid. And I had a funny story about David Cassidy. Paul was home in Heswell one weekend, and it was 1972, and Cassidy was down in London, and he was staying at the Dorchester right before they threw him out because the fans were making such a din. He had to go stay on a boat in the Thames. But somebody got the name that David was staying under, and it was his pseudonym was David Jackson. Well, wouldn't have taken the brains of Lloyd George to work that out because Jack Cassidy's son, Jack's son, David Jack's son. So Paul gets through, and he's, I'm listening on the extension to ask him, would he send some autographs or did he have any posters or anything? He said, my kid sister's driving me mad, So we finally get through the operator and through to the room, and we hear this voice, hello? And I knew it was David Cassidy's voice, and I'm squealing, on the other end of the line, covering the phone up. And Paul said, I'm looking for David Jackson, David Bruce Jackson, David Jack's son. And Cassidy goes, who wants to know? And Paul said, of course, naturally, well, this is Paul McCartney. And Cassidy said, well, this is the effing Duke of Edinburgh, and hung up on him. He didn't believe him.
That's great. What a great story. I hope you called back and got through for real.
Yeah, you got through
of course.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I got the big package. I still have the 8x10 hanging in our celebrity gallery in the hallway here. Yeah. And it says, Ruth, be happy and stay free. I didn't listen. I got married 3 times, but,
But she's still
we miss both Davids. David Cassidy, I only got to interview him once at a convention, and he was the sweetest.
Yes, he was. He was lovely.
He had his demons that haunted him, unfortunately, but he was really special. And I was very close friends with Dave Jones. We talk all the time. The best story is he once called me out of the clear blue sky and said, "Charles, this is David." And David who? You always say that because you don't associate and out of the blue. Davy Jones, hello. I go, how you doing? Look, I only have a minute. What are the Beatle trading cards worth? I go, $1 a piece. Okay, mate, thanks, bye. That was
$1 a piece. Oh my God.
Well, this is the whole world of NFTs now, these non-fungible tokens. They're like digital baseball cards, and they live on your phone, So for people who want to collect stuff but don't actually want the stuff and they want it digitally, it's a brave new world, right? Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. So tell me about your Liverpool tours. I know obviously 2020 didn't happen, but are there any plans to go in this year? Are you going to jump to 2022? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so we've been doing them since 1983. That was the first year I went and hosted. And if you recall, in those days, Matthew Street, it was just like, I don't want to use the word slum, but it was just boarded up.
Yeah, it was scruffy. Yeah,
it was boarded up buildings. And I got on my hands and knees and put my ears to where I thought the cavern might have been. And I just was, like imagining and dreaming. And then it became, a mecca for, not a Mecca, but a mecca for visitors.
Mecca's Mecca. Yeah.
Of course. And so we've been bringing fans ever since, to the point where, at 100 at a time. And we always go during Beatle week in August.
Yep.
And it's special because you live and breathe it. We go to London first. We do a stop in Henley with George Harrison's home.
Yep.
And then we go right to Liverpool for a whole week. And people say, what can you do for a whole week?
Well, plenty.
You can spend a month and not do enough.
That's right, yeah.
But so
I've written 2 books on the subject.
Yeah.
One was actually...
It's called Here, There, and Everywhere. Well, there it is. Yeah. And it is the definitive Beatles guide to Liverpool, London, Hamburg, New York, and LA. So I should tell you all about this. And on every page, it's got QR codes so that the reader can scan, and then it jumps to a page on McCartney.com with videos and the weather and information about the spot and what have you. So
everyone should have that, and they should bring it along on the trip.
Yeah, that's right.
Those places, but there's nothing like going in person. I mean, conventions are great, fanzines, podcasts, they're all wonderful. But the ultimate is actually going and walking in the footsteps. Yeah. But we couldn't do it last year, and it was very sad. So we rolled over all the reservations. Most of the travelers are still reluctant. A few still want to go because Beatle Week is still going on, and it's limited to an extent. And we got to make a decision by July 1st because I'm reluctant to go, and I'm the one who hosts the tour. I bring them. I make sure they have a great time. I make sure they eat well and sleep well, but have every minute of Beatledom while they're there. So I think, it's the safest thing is to wait one more year.
Yeah, I think so.
I would agree.
The other issue, of course, is, what the coronavirus and COVID is doing in your zip code, in your neck of the woods, your state and your country is not necessarily what's happening in Liverpool. They keep having these delays and lockdowns and shutting it. The Northwest was hit particularly bad with this Delta variant before they knew, because, it has a large diaspora of Indian and Pakistani people from, Leeds, Bradford, Manchester, Liverpool, what have you, which is great for the fabric of society and for the culture and the food and everything. Yeah. But, these poor people had traveled to India to see family and then come home, and they didn't realize until 14 days later that, whoops, So I think especially, with the demographic and the age group of Beatle fans being, nobody's sort of 18 and 10 foot wide and bulletproof until this thing has really, really, really gone away. I think you're wise if you don't go till 2022, just because. But if you go this year, obviously you'll take precautions and whatever. But you don't feel free to have so much fun, do you, when you're still under restrictions?
No, so much of it is dancing. So much of it is sitting next to the person, right
in a pub. Yeah,
in a pub.
A lot of it is pub. A lot of it's at the Cavern, at the Casbah, at Jacaranda, all these places where it's not, it's not gigantic spaces.
No.
Right.
That's right.
The Casbah is about to reopen as a bed and breakfast. Rogue Best is doing it up. He's done a
Looks
wonderful
fantastic.
job. Yeah.
You got to give them, especially Rogue and the family, so much credit, because not only are they turning that into a B&B, but also the museum they put up on Matthew Street is unbelievable. You know, for a time, the only thing you can go to in Liverpool if you wanted a museum experience was the Beatle story.
Down at the dock, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is great, too. It's really well done.
It's phenomenal, but completely different.
Yeah.
When you go to the Best Family Museum right on Matthew Street, every inch of it is memorabilia. Every inch of it. It's amazing. It's probably the best. All right, you know, I'm not a historian and I don't like, you know, the Museum of Natural History. It's my favorite museum I've ever been to in my life.
Really?
Wow.
That's great. Yes.
So I, you know, he can quote me on that.
Everything's chosen with love and particular care and attention by the Best family, isn't it?
And, you know, when you have, you know, memorabilia and mementos from the Mona and from Neil Aspinall, I mean, that's, you know, it's probably the next step from having, you know, Paul putting up a museum or Yoko or George or Ringo or any of them. If they had done it, I don't think it could have had as many items because they probably didn't save these things like the Best Family.
No,
We didn't.
God, I didn't.
Everywhere Paul used to go, they used to send us postcards from tours and stuff. And Angie go, "Oh, that's nice," and my dad would read it and throw it in the bin.
And Ruth, at that age, Ruth was always falling over and skinning her knees. So Paul always used to address the postcards to Dad, Ange, and Scabby. She had scabby knees. So Scabby.
That was me.
That was Scabby.
Oh, that's amazing.
I often wish we'd kept all that stuff.
Sometimes I used to get the postcards and I'd cut the stamps off them because I had a stamp collection. I'd keep the stamps and throw the damn postcard away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about that now.
We didn't know, you know, how many people really saved everything, you know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there are a few, but I think we call them pack rats, don't we?
And it paid off for them.
Oh, absolutely.
In some cases,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, you bet. Some of the stuff you see at auction is like, good grief, where did that come from? You know, how long did that survived? And who has the presence of mind to keep all that stuff? You know?
Somebody on Facebook recently sent me a copy of a letter that I had written to a fan.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, it had 24th Lynn Road on the top of it in my handwriting. Well, of course, I didn't come on the scene until Jim had moved into Rembrandt when Paul bought him that. But I must have put on the letter when I wrote 24th Lynn so they wouldn't
show up at our door,
find out where we were living now.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd written, this woman sent me a copy of this letter recently. Somebody bought it at auction and paid, I don't know, thousands of pounds for it. I thought, my God, I'd come and wallpaper your bathroom for 50 quid now. Oh, dear.
Someone might have said, no, it's a forgery. It can't be real because of that return address. But you've now given it provenance. You've explained the credibility because of how
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, we had enough problems with fans finding out where we lived and showing up at the door and beating the door down and sneaking in with the milkman. And God, grief.
There was one occasion when we used to get a lot of fan mail direct to the house. It used to just say Paul, Liverpool, or Paul, England on the envelope. And the poor old mailman had come staggering up the driveway with these big burlap sacks. Twice a day the mail delivered in those days. And there was one, I noticed that the postmarks on them kept getting closer. They started out in Dallas, and then there was somewhere else.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
And West Africa.
Yeah. And I thought, this is the same girl, the same handwriting, but the postmarks are getting different. And then one night the phone rang, and it was the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board police. And they said, is this the McCartney household? I said, yes. He said, we've got a young girl here by the name of, and I won't say her name because she might be watching. She said that Paul McCartney's father has invited her to come and visit. I said, well, that's a load of old cobblers, but put her on the phone and let me speak to her. So I thought, what are we going to do? So I called Jim to the phone. I said, this girl's in the docks in Liverpool. The police don't know what to do with her. They found her as a stowaway on a ship that had just come in late at night. And as it happened, Paul was home So I shouted upstairs to him, here, come here, this is your problem. And I told him briefly and put him on the phone. Well, this girl, she nearly dropped her fish when, hello, this is Paul, you know. And so in the end, he said, I tell you what, get the police to put you in a taxi and bring them to my father's house. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of the bill and all that. But come on over here and let's meet you. So this lucky girl, the police put her in a cab, sent her to our house. We invited her in. We gave her a meal. Jim said, you've got to call your parents. Do they know where you are? And she said, no, not really. So he said, okay, let's get them on the phone. Do we know what time is it in Dallas? And she knew, we didn't. So we got her parents on the phone and she spoke to them. And Jim got on the phone and he said, I can assure you we'll make sure she's taken care of and we'll get her a plane ticket back to you to Dallas. And, you know, we'll keep track of it and we'll let you know when she arrives. Give us your phone number. We did all the right things. We eventually put her in a cab. Jim gave us some money. Called
the Victoria Hotel, wasn't it?
No, we put her in Mount Pleasant.
Oh yeah,
okay. In Mount Pleasant, Liverpool, near the cathedral, in a hotel, and told the people there what it was all about, to keep tabs on her, make sure she got to the airport the next day, and flew out of Speke Airport to London, I assume, and back to Dallas, and that was the end of that, as far as I knew. Years later, Linda, on the phone one day, she said, oh, I've met this great girl in a supermarket. We've got chatting, and
she's American. She works in the local American deli in London.
Yeah. So she said she's going to, she seems like a nice girl. Her name is, and I said, what?
No, she said she's been taking
the kids to the swings.
I've been letting her take the kids to the park and take pictures. She's taken some great pictures of the children.
She sent me the photographs.
And Anne said, oh, what's her name? And it was sure enough, it was this same
I
crazy
said, Linda,
man.
Get rid of her immediately. She's a stalker. She said, oh my God, I never thought of such a thing. I just thought it was a friendly American working locally and, you know, she'd like to be helped.
Crazy.
I mean, when you think now of the terrible things that happen,
yeah,
you know.
Sure.
Well, you took in a nutter there. I mean, you took a chance, but you did, you know, like a
right thing.
A blessed thing, because this crazy, she's probably a kid, a teenager, and she comes in a foreign country. You did the Christian, you did the right thing. But nowadays, wow.
I know,
yeah, I know. So yeah, we always keep an eye out for that name on Facebook in case it pops up.
No, she's probably something else now. She's probably married or changed her name or something. Hopefully. So, but we know who you are, so don't try it again, girlie.
As Robert De Niro would say.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I want to tell listeners that if they're interested in the Beatles tour, our website is liverpooltours.com. It's
absolutely
easy enough. And, you know, you go, even if you don't go with me, go, because it's so beautiful, Liverpool now. And there's so many things you can do, and so many taxis will take you there. You know, it's not like it was in the 80s where you really needed somebody to show you every place or you wouldn't know where. Now there's books like yours and all that. But if you want to have the best experience with me as the host and with fellow fans, we go during Beatle weekend. Liverpooltours.com is your best.
We will certainly plug it as well.
Absolutely.
Now that we've had a conversation.
We might go with you next year. You probably know more than we do.
Wouldn't that be something?
Maybe we'll go in the Wirral and we'll go to Rembrandt. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's definitely always.
Well, the Wirral is beautiful.
It's
still
gorgeous.
got a lot of lovely little villages. And
it's such a green space when you think how that's been preserved over the years, because it's trapped between, you know, Liverpool to the north and Manchester to the east. But you go to Chester and Wirral and North Wales, and it really is still very rural. You know, it's a real bedroom community.
There's a new radio station now called Liverpool Live 24/7. And Pete Price, do you know who Pete Price is? The DJ. He's been around. He was on Radio Merseyside, then Radio City, and now
he's been, as we say in Liverpool, he's been on the air since God was wearing short pants.
And for years, I did his radio show every Sunday night. And then he's moved to this new station, which has got a different policy. So he just has me on occasionally to report on what's going on in Hollywood. And they always want to know all the Kardashian gossip and all that sort of Hollywood glitz stuff.
Uninteresting crap.
Yeah, crap as we call it, but in Liverpool, they just find it fun and interesting.
You can actually listen to it if you want to practice your Liverpool accent before you go on liverpooltours.com with Charles next August to Liverpool, or next August, yeah. You can get online. You just go to www.radio.garden. It's not radiogarden.com, it's radio.garden. And it's like Google Earth, and every little green pin in the map is a radio station all over the world, and you can listen to world radio for free. I listen to when I'm working. And it's called Liverpool Live 24/7, and they've got some real Scouse accents on there. It's very, there was a bloke on the other day, Aaron Hayes, his name is, he said, honest to God, he said, this show I'm going to play for an hour. I'm going to play songs you never hear on the radio. And at the end of the hour, you'll friggin' know why. It's going to be as mad as a box of frogs.
That's great. That's funny.
And I was listening, there was an Irish girl on one day, she was a policewoman, and somebody said to her, oh, have you ever had any close association with, she mentioned some local celebrity, and she said, what, him? I'd rather.
No, she said, would you date him?
Yeah.
Would you date this bloke?
Meaning, would you sleep with him? And she said, I'd rather brush me teeth
with a chainsaw.
With a chainsaw. I love these expressions. I always write them down right away.
Maybe that's your next book, Scouse Expressions.
Yeah.
What you should learn before you go on tour with Mr. Rosenay. Yeah.
That's great.
We might have a whole new industry going there, Charles.
So, Charles, go ahead. We're coming up to the top of the hour. Go ahead and plug again the July 10th Fab Four Festival and also your Liverpool tours. So all the Beatle fans in all the world can join in your fun.
Well, it's mostly North Americans who join us on the liverpooltours.com because, you know, if you're living in, you know, Ireland, or you can come by yourself. So it's for Americans. We love when they join us, and Canadians and all that. But the Fab Four Music Festival, which is this website here, www.fab4musicfestival.com. We've got 10 bands. We say 10 great bands, one beautiful day, and some great vendors who will be sending, you know, Beatles memorabilia and goodies and all that stuff, and food trucks and ice cream and kettle corn and all that stuff.
Great.
For kids, you know, face painting and the blow up, whatever, those jumpy things. What's great is, as you know now, 3 generations of fans are coming.
Yes.
When I started doing the conventions, I was always, oh, this is great. It's parents bringing their kids. Well, now it's the kids,
and that's the grandkids,
and the grandparents and great grandparents. So it's so beautiful. Yeah. I love it. I love that
we're
all
rocking.
And that's July the 10th from noon till 8, correct?
Yes, in Ansonia, Connecticut, at Nolan Field. And all the information and the directions and the tickets are on the website. Thank you for letting me plug that, because it's
absolutely. No, we love to get the word out to the Beatle fans and family of good, solid, well-run events, because you have Liverpool Productions as well, right?
Yeah, Liverpool Productions is actually how I make money. It's a DJ company. I've been DJing and emceeing now for 4 decades. Yesterday, I did a pool party for graduating kids. I still do that. I'm still jumping around, doing all the silly dances and making it fun for people. And Liverpool Productions is the name of everything. It's the DJ company. It's the production company. It's the tour company. And it's because, you know, Liverpool's in my heart and in my soul. And you can go and visit Liverpool and leave, but Liverpool never leaves you.
That's absolutely
true.
Well, what a pleasure catching up with you, Charles. I'll give you a buzz in the next couple of days so we can talk all about May Pang's Lost Weekend NFTs and see what we can do together there. And also Angie's tour guide book, Here, There, and Everywhere. You should know about that. And I hope you have a fantastic day, and the weather is wonderful on July 10th. For your Fab Four Festival. Mm-hmm. I wish I could be there, but we'll be with you in spirit.
Yes.
And thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you. I love you both. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.